And welcome back to another episode of the Blitz Club podcast. It's me and
Jackson.
And today we got a very special episode today. Two guests. And can you guys tell us who you guys are?
Aycen Stevens, played at Decatur Central with Alberta. Graduated class 2023. I now play linebacker at Virginia Tech University. I play at Virginia Tech.
Tommy Stevens, older brother of Aycen, played at Decatur Central as well. Graduated in 2015. Spent time at Penn State, Mississippi State, a couple NFL teams, and now Calgary Stampeders.
All right. Kind of going straight into it. So for you, Tommy, so you said you play for the NFL and the CFL. What are major differences you see in between both leagues?
Well, starting from a rule standpoint, there's 12 guys. There's a lot of different rules, but the main rule difference is there's 12 guys instead of 11 in the CFL. Field's bigger, longer, wider, and then 3 downs instead of 4. So those are the two, or I guess the multiple differences in the game. There's a lot of different rules, mostly on special teams, that are the biggest differences. But as far as that quality of play, it kind of creates a more exciting game. Another small change is there's a yard. You can't line up right up on the ball, right? So you have to create a line or a yard of separation between the ball and the defenders, and so. That's kind of the advantage, I guess, the offense has instead of 3 downs versus 4. And you can also have all your skilled players in motion at the same time. So it kind of gives you some unique looks. Having an extra guy on the field allows you to do multiple different things. So, but as far as the skill gap, there's really not a huge difference in the skill gap between the CFL and the NFL. Obviously, you've got your superstars in the NFL; those guys are world class. But our league is made up of a lot of the fringy guys that make up most of the special teamers. That's why you see a lot of guys bouncing around in between both leagues. So those are the biggest differences, I'd say.
Yeah, I like to. I kind of like to see different variety of different leagues doing the same sport. Kind of like you said, just having different rules and seeing how that goes. Now for you, Aycen, what's the transition from high school going into college now?
I would say the biggest transition was just being away from home was the hardest part for me. Being roughly 7 hours away, not really knowing anybody. It's kind of out on my own for the first couple weeks before I started making good friendships out there. That's one transition. Ball wise, it's a lot faster than what high school was. Obviously, everybody there is Division I football players.
Yeah.
That really made a little challenge on me. I also came off an ACL surgery, coming right into the highest level competition I've ever played. So that was a little difficult at first. But after quite a bit of reps, I kind of got a hang of it, and it's probably those two would say are probably the two biggest transitions I went through.
And so for both of y'all, what made y'all choose the college y'all decided to go to?
You want to go first?
You go ahead, because mine kind of goes off yours.
Well, my recruiting was, a bit of a journey. Obviously didn't really have, I guess, the advantage that Aycen ended up having with all the different connections, but was fortunate enough to have other Division I players on my team already before I was able to get looked at. And so a lot of people were coming to see Lucas McNeil and Trent Maynard because of their size. They were both enormous, both of them about 6'7", 315. And everybody in the country wanted to come see those guys. So I benefited off of that, going into my first year as a starter, my junior year at Decatur. And so, we were really good. Had a lot of, talented players that I was able to play with on the offensive side of the ball, and we were able to score a lot of points. And so that was kind of how my recruiting started. And, I ended up going to Penn State, but it, didn't really look like that from the beginning. I was, kind of messing with the in-state schools, talked to them first. My first offer, I guess, ended up being Iowa, but, the Big Ten, some MAC schools, and then I got my Michigan State offer. And at the time, Michigan State was, they were a top 5 team in the country at that point, and that was really what, caused me to, I guess, soar in that, because, it's kind of similar today, like if you get a big time offer.
Yeah, and then that's when all the other...
Everybody else kind of comes in, right? And so, got that offer. I didn't really talk to Penn State really until late, I'd say. I guess it was probably right around the same time as that after I got the Michigan State offer. But my only connection to Penn State was through Charles Huff, who's now the head coach at Marshall. And he, at the time, had offered me to go to Western Michigan. He took the running backs job at Penn State, and so that was kind of my bridge to Penn State. And I remember reaching out to him. I was actually standing on the porch here. I reached out to him, hey, like, you know, you offered me at Western Michigan. What's the deal with Penn State? So he's like, buddy, I don't really have that kind of power yet. So he invited me to their camps, and at that time I just wasn't really exploring the camp circuit. I never ended up going to anybody's camp. And realistically, at that time, Penn State wasn't a, not to say that I didn't want the Penn State offer, but it wasn't a offer that I was gonna,
like a guaranteed spot where you'd commit at.
Yeah. Like I just, Penn State wasn't exactly wasn't the big time decision that it probably is now. I mean, a lot of the sanctions had hit. And, at that time, they weren't even guaranteed to go to a bowl game just because of the sanctions that the NCAA put on Penn State. And so, I wasn't really worried about that. And so, fast forward, I ended up committing to Indiana. Was happy with my decision there, and going into my senior year, had a big senior year, and called some more people to kind of come along. I remember Notre Dame was one of the big schools that had called, and being from Indiana, I mean, it's a big deal. And so I go on a visit to Notre Dame and meet a guy named Brandon Wimbush, who at the time was committed to Penn State. And so Brandon ended up decommitting from Penn State, commits to Notre Dame. We were both there at the same time. I talked to Brandon. I knew exactly what was going on, right? And so as I'm leaving, Ricky Ronnie, who at the time was the quarterback's coach, he calls me, and he's like, hey, we'll kind of build this relationship. And me, I'm like, I know exactly what's going on here. Like, they just lost their guy. They're just going to try to pick me up. I'm like the next option. And I kind of gave them the cold shoulder, I guess. So they end up, recruiting me very well. I mean, they were really good at their job, and they ended up offering me. And so after that, I was like, okay, maybe look and see if I can possibly go visit the campus. And if I didn't want to turn them away just because it was an opportunity I didn't explore, ended up getting a bye week and go to the whiteout at Penn State. And so that was kind of hard to, I guess, turn down. So that's really in a broad way why I ended up going.
So for me, mine was a little different than Tommy's. Tommy, you didn't get your first offer until after your junior season, right?
Yeah. I mean, it was. I guess it was late at the end of my junior year when I got that first, but it wasn't the quarterback; it was like safety.
Right. So I got mine right after my sophomore season. It was like February, right around this time, right now, of my sophomore year. It was an Indiana offer. They were, if I remember right, that was the year they were ranked in the top 25, I believe. So that kind of blew my recruitment up just a little bit. I had 19 scholarships to go play wherever. Virginia Tech was my last option. Then I was actually set to go to Tennessee. That was really where I wanted to play. Some things. This was right before my senior season, I believe. It was the summer going into my senior season. I was going to commit to Tennessee. Some things didn't go my way, how we wanted it to. That I guess didn't really work out. And then I was kind of, I wouldn't say stuck, because I really liked the schools that were offering me. I reached out to all the other schools that offered me, thanked them for offering me, but I was telling them I was releasing a top 3. And those top 3 schools were Purdue, Iowa State, and Nebraska. And when I released that on Twitter, Coach Pry at Penn State, who was also at Coach Pry at Virginia Tech, head coach, was also at Penn State with Tommy. He hit me up and was like, "Look, dude, you're offered if you put us in your top 4." And knowing that Virginia Tech was a big time deal in college sports, I was like, all right, well, might as well give these dudes a shot. And I already knew most of the staff, so I put them in my top 4. Kind of made it like a big deal on Twitter. Thought it was kind of weird, but I took a visit out there. I really liked it. Then I took my official visit, and then the Saturday night of my official visit, I was going home, and I was like, yeah, this is the place I'm going. And then I told my parents, told my sister, I told my brother, and that Sunday morning in Coach Pry's office, I told him I was committed. So that was really my process on things, on why I wanted to go there, and just knew that they weren't going to rub me wrong, and so far I was right.
Well, yeah, hopefully that continues to go well for you, and then hopefully for you as well in the CFL. So, like, coming to game time, like when it's time to go an hour before game time, what's y'all's like biggest motivator before the game starts, or like what's your preparation looking like?
Get this one first.
I'd say just the typical, listen to music, trying to lock in before the games. The strength coaches, they're always hyping you up in the locker room. But playing at Virginia Tech, man, the Inner Sandman, there's nothing like it. I mean, walking down that tunnel, just letting it play. There's the stands. You can hear them jumping on top of you in the tunnel. It's like giving me cold chills right now talking about it. And I'm usually in the back because I'm a freshman, and so I know it gets louder at the top because I keep trying to sneak my way into the front, but it gets real loud in the front, and then once you run out of that tunnel, man, it's freaking just noise everywhere, and then it's really cool. Like I just said, it gives you cold chills talking about it. I think it's the best college football entrance there is.
Oh yeah, such an iconic song.
Yeah, and so, there's nothing better than that. If you can't get ready to play to that, then I don't know if you're a football player.
Better go home, yeah.
Yeah. It's a little different for me. I mean, we don't really have anything like that in the CFL where it's quite like that. But
yeah.
I've been fortunate enough to play at a lot of different places and see a lot of different things. And really, what came down to me and being this late in my career as a football player and just finding what works for me, finding different things, and obviously listening to music. And I've kind of, in a weird way, like I used to be all about music and trying to find like external factors, I guess, to try to get yourself going. But kind of like Aycen said, man, if you can't really if you can't get yourself going by yourself, then you're playing the wrong thing. And so kind of realized I didn't really need all that stuff. And in a way, I guess I wouldn't say that it was hurting me, but kind of just taking my headphones off. I don't know, I'd say probably 2-3 hours before pregame, and really just trying to really lock in my focus on what's it. And obviously it's a little bit different for me being an offensive player versus a defensive player, where you can benefit off of playing with your hair on fire. You got to be a little bit more calm and collected, I guess, on the offensive side of the ball. And so just trying to find focus on the things that are going to affect my play. Things that we have in the game plan, things that focus on the things that they do. And, that's kind of what gets me locked into being ready to play a game. So.
So kind of going back to what Aycen said was like knowing when to play. So if people don't know, he transferred from Penn State to Mississippi State, and as people know, if you're a college football fan, the environment in Penn State gets really crazy and hectic on game day. What was like from going to Penn State to another school like Mississippi State?
Well, I'd say Mississippi State still. I mean, there was still a lot of energy, and you were able to see a lot of playing road games. You're able to see a lot of the different fan bases and see a lot of different cool atmospheres. But biasly, I mean, there wasn't really anything like seeing the Penn State whiteout was probably the biggest spectacle that we have at Penn State, and it was unlike anything else I'd ever played in front of. Right? I mean, I was able to play there, played at Ohio State, played the Big House at Michigan. Played at Tennessee, played, you can go on and on about all the different places. Those are probably the biggest ones, most memorable. I believe it or not, I'm going to throw Iowa in there as well, because that was the loudest place that I probably ever played at outside of Penn State. So, I mean, there's a lot of different places, but biasly being able to, kind of rely on a fan base and there wasn't a home game that I played at, even when we were, not as good as, my first year, let's say. I mean, we still had 100,000 home fans every game. And so I'm proud that I think in 2018 we broke the attendance record that still stands at Penn State when we played Ohio State at home. I mean, there was like 100 and I think it was 100 and
109.
I think it was 109, 110,000 when max capacity is 107.
Dang.
So, it was a pretty memorable one, unfortunately, because we lost. But it was a crazy atmosphere, and anybody that's seen the whiteout can kind of vouch for that. But even seeing it on TV is crazy, but seeing it in person's something.
Yeah,
it's kind of unexplainable. So, kind of like Aycen's saying, man, you feel it. It's obviously. It's I would say it's why you do it, but it's obviously football players' dream to play in front of those type of environments. So extremely cool and extremely thankful for my time that I was able to play there.
Okay. All right. One more question before we hop into another discussion. So since both y'all are in college, or you've already graduated college and you're in college, so what do you guys plan on to do after your football career is over? Like stuff in communications, stuff in media. Like what's your guys' plan?
I still think that it's kind of weird that I've already graduated, got my degree, but I haven't really focused. I wouldn't say focused, but haven't really, I guess, set in stone what I want to do after. My degree is kind of in this department, is being able to do media, but along with that, I've got such a long tree of different connections that are across the country. A lot of different coaches that I've been coached by. They're in different places, and just being able to explore those avenues and see like what might be available for me in the coaching world is kind of what I'm thinking. It's hard to think about life without football. I'd say. And so and it's obviously what I've been best at so far at this point in my life. So I guess I'm not totally disinterested in getting away from football, but it's going to be hard to, I guess, adjust to life after football without having it in my life. So I'll probably end up getting into the coaching world, I would imagine, some way or another. And, but that time that decision will come at a later time.
Okay.
And then for me, right now, I'm working on a degree in HNFE, Human Nutrition, Food, and Exercise, to be an athletic strength coach at the college level. With that, I've always just kind of wanted to be around football, similar to Tommy. That's also another reason why I want to be at the college level, because I like college football better than any other level of football. But yeah, ever since I walked into the weight room, I've always been a fan of it. If you guys ever seen my dad, big dude, it's always in the weight room 3 hours a day.
Should have had him on the pod.
Yeah. he kind of introduced me to the weights, and I fell in love ever since the day he took me to the weight room for the first time. And I've always try staying in the gym as much as possible and working out, so I figured keep me around two things. I love football and weights, and be able to do both.
Yeah. Like what you said, it was like it's kind of hard to get away from football. Like after high school for me, like after I kind of realized that, the path of professional career isn't in my destiny. Like still being involved in what you do or what you've been around for years is like something that would just always stay with me. So, all right. So what I want to touch on is the college football games from yesterday. So which two game did you guys think was the better game out of the two?
Those were both really good games. Personally, I think the Bama and Michigan game was the top game. Also, playing in the Rose Bowl made it a little bit cooler.
Yeah. It's the first time Michigan's beat Bama since 2000. Last time Brady went to play.
I think it was Brady that beat
Brady's
him,
very last game was the Wolverine. Yeah.
Wow.
So, I kind of liked what Michigan did. They came out there and they looked like they weren't scared of Bama. Like you see sometimes teams kind of fold up shop to Bama. I enjoyed watching Michigan go out there, Big Ten team, being able to play in the national championship. Usually, I'm not going to say usually don't see it because they're probably arguably the best, if not second best conference in football.
Yeah.
But I don't know, living in a Big Ten country, kind of like to see a Big Ten team go.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to see me root for Michigan, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I'll give them credit, though, that's for sure. They definitely brought it. And kind of like Aycen was saying, they brought it right to Alabama, where some teams set up shop, kind of like he was saying. So, I don't know, man. It was watching Michael Penix yesterday was awesome. It's still hard to believe that he didn't win the Heisman, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's crazy to see him come from a place like IU as well, and then go all the way to Washington, not a team.
I played against him when he was at IU.
That's crazy.
So, it was actually, unfortunately, the game that he got hurt his first time, and so. But at the same time, man, I've always rooted. I don't know Michael at all. I never spoke with him, but great story, obviously, and so I've been rooting for him. it was a masterclass of playing the quarterback position yesterday by him, and shout out to his surrounding cast. They made plays all day and were able to propel them to a national championship berth. And so, yeah, I don't know. They were both really, really good games. I enjoyed watching the more offensive battle. I'm sure Aycen enjoyed watching the more defensive battle. So,
both of the games were only a touchdown away.
Yeah.
I really wanted Texas to win, but I like an underdog story with the Washington. Like, no one ever thought Washington's gonna be top 2 in the entire country of football teams.
Mm-hmm.
And then Michael Penix, 2 touchdowns, 430 yards. Like that's Heisman caliber player.
Most yards in playoff history. Passing yards.
Dang.
Now, Tommy, you play quarterback. Aycen, you did play quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
What was your thoughts on that 4th and goal with the Alabama-Michigan game? Did you like that play call? Did you think they should have done something different?
You want to go first?
Tommy's going to be able to speak about this a little better than I can. He's been telling me about it all day. But I think a lot of people are kind of blowing it out of proportion. I think it was honestly a decent play.
Yeah.
It just wasn't blocked up correctly. They had that pulling, I think it may have been a pulling guard, or maybe pulling center, I can't remember. Pulling guard. Maybe he kicks out that safety coming off the edge. They zone it. I don't really know too much. I mean, I know offense, no football, but Tommy will be able to speak about the blocking concepts.
Bro does not know offense.
I'm usually better at disrupting the
Offensive players are normally smart. Defensive players normally aren't smart.
Yeah, you know more about gap responsibility than I probably do, but kind of like Aycen was saying, man, I really didn't think it was a bad play call at all. It was kind of like a chess game. If you remember, they lined up at first. Michigan called I think Bama. One of them called a timeout first. They come back out there. The other one called a timeout, and so they're kind of battling just based off of looks. What ended up happening was Michigan ended up just going straight man. And I ran this play in college multiple times that they ran. So, with quarterback runs in general, you're adding an extra player that the defense can't account for, right? And so whenever you send a guy out of the backfield, that gets rid of, because they're in man, gets rid of one of the linebackers, and so they outnumbered Michigan. They had them outnumbered in the box, and if they would have blocked it up properly, it really would have been a walk-in touchdown. I don't think it was that drive. I think it could have been the drive before. They ran a very similar play that ended up splitting for a big carry or a big yardage gain. So, it was. Yeah, I mean, credit to Michigan. They made the play when it mattered the most. And but I've seen a lot of people upset with Milroe. A lot of people upset with Tommy Rees, and I mean, nobody's really giving Michigan credit for calling a good defensive play either. And so. Yeah. I thought it was 2 really, really good plays. A lot of people said that he should have threw it to the back, but what they don't understand is that the guy that you're reading on that play is the guy that exits himself from the box. It's covering the back. I mean, that's not Milroe's fault for not throwing. That's the way it's taught, right? So you're taught to, if that defender puts himself out of the box and he runs and tries to run down the back, you keep it. If it was me, I would have kept it. I wouldn't have thrown it at all. Obviously, I want the ball in my hands in that situation too, but just based off of the look and assuming that they read it the same way that we read it in college and now, that's a key read. If he follows that pull, like I said, if it would have been blocked up properly, I think it should have been a walk-in touchdown. So.
Also looked like that defensive end from Michigan threw the right tackle into the play, kind of blew the play up, which kind of hurt Bama's chances of getting in the end zone as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, great play by Michigan, and obviously they needed it.
I feel like that whole game too. I mean, Milroe at first half at least, the Michigan defensive line was just on him every play. I think he had 10 dropbacks and 5 he was pressured.
Yeah,
and 5 sacks.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think people are blowing it out of proportion because that whole day he had no time to throw. No. And I think you look back at it, too, as a very low snap from the center. That center's had troubles all day.
Mm-hmm.
But, people don't realize that was probably one of the best play they had because it worked the drive before to get in the fourth quarter. Milroe had, 15-yard rush, 20-yard rush with it? So,
a lot of people wanted him to drop back and pass and give him more options, which, I guess I understand. But people also got to take into consideration that, Jalen Milroe isn't Michael Penix, and Michael Penix isn't Jalen Milroe. The things that he can do on his feet Penix can't do, and the things that Penix can do with his arm, maybe Jalen can't do. And so I guess as consistently, because Jalen did have some really nice throws in the game. Michael had some nice runs in his game, respectively. And so, but yeah, I mean, all in all, I thought it was just a really, really good play by Michigan.
Now, I remember y'all saw the quote by Harbaugh that's saying JJ he thinks is the best Michigan QB to ever play. Now, I can kind of tell just by y'all reaction. Do y'all agree with that, or do y'all think he's over-exaggerating?
I mean,
at the point at Michigan, he might be right.
But in college football right now,
it's kind of hard to say that when the greatest quarterback ever went to Michigan.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it took the words out of my mouth. That's exactly what I was going to say. But yeah, I mean, based on the careers at Michigan, I don't have the numbers to tell you differently. But I mean, Tom didn't go to the national championship, so I mean, it's hard to say. I mean,
college and NFL is completely different. So.
No doubt. But it meant a lot, probably coming from Harbaugh, who also played quarterback at Michigan, for him to say that. And I'm sure it's more so just a coach going to bat for his QB. So, but at the same time, man, it's. I mean, I guess there's an argument there.
All right. So I want y'all's predictions for the game on the next game. So do y'all got Michigan or Washington?
Score prediction too, or just
score? We'll go with score predictions as well.
Okay. I don't think Michigan's defense will let them score as many points as they did against Texas. I don't think. I do think Michigan wins. I would give it a score roughly maybe Washington 21, 28, something like that. Let's go 24, and then Michigan 37.
Okay.
I think it's Michigan's game to lose. I would imagine they'll be favored to win the game. But I mean, there's a lot of things that Michael Penix does that Michigan hasn't seen this year, and so. Michigan's really built to stop the run, I'd say. They've got a really, really good defensive line that's going to apply pressure all night. And, Washington probably hasn't seen a pass rush like that. I mean, Bama was really good, and they got to the passer as well. But, it's really going to be – the game will be won on whichever's defense plays better, right? And so I think Washington's going to have their hands full stopping the Michigan run game. They're going to have to establish the run both sides. And it's early, but Washington's running back got hurt late in that game and didn't really look like he was going to be in position to play in the national championship, and he's a big piece of their offense as well. So making them one dimensional, I think for me gives Michigan the edge. But like I said earlier, man, you can't find me rooting for Michigan. So so I'm rooting for Penix. I'm rooting for Washington. Give me them in a shootout. I'm going to go 42-35. Washington.
All right. You, Jackson, what you feeling?
As an IU fan, I'd love to see Penix. It hurts because Tuttle, who is also IU quarterback, is the backup at Michigan.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Ooh. So there's two IU guys in the national championship, but it's going to take a lot for Washington. I don't think Michigan has really seen a heavy pass offense with Washington has. But at the same time, the Washington defense is going to have their hands full with Corum. I think Corum's one of the best backs right now.
Definitely.
It's going to be a shootout. I hope it's a shootout. I hope it's not another 65-7 like last year. But I think it's Michigan's to lose, like Tommy said. It's for sure. It's going to be close. I'd say it's like Michigan 31-28. They'll win field goal.
I think I got Washington coming out on top. It'll be a kind of a one-score game. I'll say 24-18. Be Washington winning that game. So, all right, kind of going on to deeper in the NFL. So this week we had some pretty good games. We had Lamar kind of proving that he was more of an MVP candidate with the huge win against the Dolphins. A kind of a controversial win in the Cowboys against the Lions, which personally, I don't care. That tripping call was wrong play anyway. We should have won. Whoever says that calling the lineman with, I don't care. And then the Eagles losing the Cardinals, which given the Cowboys a number one spot in the NFC East. So, is there any games that really stood out to you guys in this past weekend?
I think both of them. Both of those games you mentioned. NFC being locked up. 49ers get the number one seed in the NFC. But I think the big thing for me going into the next week is seeing if the Dolphins can bounce back, because they've got a big game this week with Buffalo.
Yeah,
So,
and they lost them earlier.
exactly. So Buffalo's kind of getting hot at the right time.
Yeah.
I don't know the severity of Josh Allen. Looked like a shoulder injury they had late in the game.
Yeah, injuries are crucial now. I think CMC was injured.
He had a calf injury. So, but yeah, man. I mean, I think that I guess fast forward a couple weeks. It's easy for me to say this now, but I think we're looking at a rematch possibly with the Niners and the Ravens, possibly in the Super Bowl. But still a lot of football, man. A lot of football. Buffalo's kind of getting hot at the right time, kind of like I just said. And, really, I'm looking forward to that game this week. See how the playoff picture kind of finalizes. I mean, there's still a lot of different ways of getting into the playoffs for a lot of different teams, and so just kind of interested to see how all that shakes out and getting into the playoff football.
And for me, I really don't. I haven't really got to watch much NFL.
Stupid Packers fan.
What?
Stupid Packers fan.
Yeah, Packers aren't very good this year. Well, they're like 7.
I mean, Jordan Love
They might get to sneak into the playoffs.
I mean, Jordan Love wasn't looking hot in the middle, like the beginning, but he's been improving.
Yeah. I got to watch the Ravens and Niners gameplay. I was able to watch that, and I was able to watch the Lions and Cowboys play. I honestly think the Lions got robbed.
Boo.
But yeah, I think the Niners are the best team in football. I know they lost to the Ravens, but
it's kind of hard to say because you got Lamar 1-3 in the playoffs.
Yeah.
The Niners haven't made it to the Super Bowl since Colin Kaepernick facing the Ravens, so in the rematch. And then they haven't made it past the championship, the NFC Championship for the past 3-4 years, losing to the Rams a few years ago, not even making it last year.
Yeah.
So it's kind of so hard. I can see both of them being first game exits, and it being some completely random teams. It can be. I can see the Jags making a good run, the Lions, the Browns. I can see the Browns in the playoffs. To be honest, yeah, the Browns are hot. The Bills,
Smoking Joe.
Browns Ravens Super Bowl not Super Bowl matchup would be fun, and watching Joe Flacco take on the Ravens.
Got to be the Bills first.
Yeah. I mean, I can see it happening. Miles Garrett's probably the top front runner for the Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
So we got some great competition coming up here soon, and then playoffs here soon. So is there anything in the NBA y'all think is going on pretty fun?
I haven't watched too much. I'm glad the Pacers are getting good again. Is that, I don't know if it's proper English. Getting good again. But building success with a young roster. Tyrese Haliburton, one of the best young players in the game. So it's nice to be able to support the Pacers again without getting laughed at.
Yeah.
I haven't watched any NBA this year. I don't have time to watch NFL, so what?
Right. Yeah.
Jackson, you're more big on the NBA. Anything you want to point out that's big?
I'm not an NBA guy. I'm a college basketball. But, I mean, I watched some of it. They beat the Bucks. That's about it. I mean, Halliburton's good.
Yeah, Halliburton's Miles Turner's been doing really good. I mean, like you said, you're more into college, and we're about to start approaching March Madness and all that stuff. So, is there any teams that you like that you've seen have been playing really well that can have a good shot in the March Madness tournament?
Kansas,
yeah,
it's good. I don't want to say Purdue because every time I say Purdue, they go out in the first round. As an IU guy,
my bracket up last year.
As an IU guy, I will barely sneak in the tournament if we're lucky. We'll probably be a play-in game again. I just checked the recent bracketology, and we're a play-in game against Miami, who we lost to last year. But I don't know. College basketball is up for grabs because number 7 FAU just lost. I don't know. I feel like college basketball, you can't predict it. Yeah. No one thought San Diego State and FAU would be the
last year's March Madness was the weirdest tournament I've ever seen. Because you're seeing 3 of the 4 teams normally not make it that far, and then seeing them in the Final Four. It's really weird.
Yeah. Hey, the girls basketball, the Hokies are doing pretty well.
Oh, yeah. Did you say we had some girl from Indiana that we knew going to Virginia Tech?
She's in the WNBA now, though.
Oh, okay.
Something trailer was her last name. I can't remember her first name.
Not gonna lie, the WNBA or just women's basketball been cooking up lately. I mean, Caitlin Clark, all that stuff.
Getting a little bit more exposure.
I know. No, I mean, I'd like to see them
We place bombs.
My bad, guys. But I'd like to see kind of, you know how like women are wanting to incorporate them like being in the NBA. So I'd like to see them kind of get into that like sort of thing. But I really wanted to touch on this subject kind of because we kind of touched on it before this thing. Helen Keller. See, I've been having this discussion for years now, and I don't think she's real.
You got any kind of?
I'm with you. I don't think she's real.
I think she was a real person.
I don't think she was blind and deaf.
I think she was a real person, but there's a lot of questions that
You guys ever seen her signature before?
Apparently, it's perfect.
Oh, it is.
It really is.
Like, can you pull it up? I bet you can.
Yeah, I bet I can.
Yeah, pull up her signature. You're gonna tell me that she was blind and deaf. I've got a real hard time.
And she apparently flew a plane and wrote a book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking college basketball to Helen Keller.
Quite change up. I do love this. This topic.
I gotta get y'all with some different stuff. So okay, what?
She's a real person, but no way she did all the stuff.
Yeah, man.
No, hold on, I can.
Got a lot of question marks. Yeah, it's quite the discussion. You know, there's a few guys that I've had this conversation with, and big anti-Helen Keller person is my man Will Levis. Will Levis is on board with us.
Isn't he the one that drinks like coffee with mayo?
Yeah, it's him. Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my
yeah.
gosh.
I've witnessed with my own eyes. I've watched him eat a Big Mac in like 6.5 seconds. Like gone. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, see, that's like okay. Let's see. Let's just look at some of her accomplishments. Helen Keller.
She read a book too.
Yeah.
There's no way. I
Like I don't understand. She published 14 books and produced numerous articles. Not only if she was outspoken, of course she was outspoken, on the needs and issues affecting her fellow deaf and deaf-blind comrades. Helen was also a valiant supporter of women's suffrage, women's rights, and labor union movement, as well as other. Okay, so that's all right, but this is cat.
Yeah, but how'd she know?
Exactly.
It's like,
She had to have some ghostwriter stuff. Like, there's no way.
this will get us some clicks for sure.
Traveled to 35 countries. America's first goodwill ambassador to Japan.
Allegedly.
Like, these are speaker and author. Like, no, how was she a hero? Gave speeches all over. Where'd she know she was going?
How did she talk?
Exactly. Like, if you're deaf, you don't know what your voice sounds like.
Yeah, man. I have a hard time.
Did Helen Keller ever speak? Hold on, click that one.
Did Helen Keller ever speak? Learned how to speak. Then she wasn't, bruh.
Yeah, I don't know how you learn how to speak when you're deaf.
How do you teach somebody?
That's blind.
Exactly.
Yeah, she's blinded.
I mean, maybe she was like hard of hearing, or maybe she was.
I think it says she was like partially deaf and blind.
That's what I'm saying. Like maybe
But
legally
Helen-
blind or legally deaf, but still could hear something.
Keller, legally, fully blind. Okay, right here. Both partially and deaf and completely
Okay, so
blind.
partially deaf helps, but completely blind, that's.
Now I know there is some like stuff where like you can figure out how to ride with like the vibrations and everything, but like I don't think if I was her, I would just give up.
Here's the question: would you rather be fully deaf or fully blind? You had to choose one or the other.
I'd rather be
Fully
able to fully deaf
Fully deaf, absolutely.
because I can't imagine just like you're just sitting there, and then boom, your eyesight's gone.
Darkness. Yeah, I mean that's quite the hindrance.
I mean, if you can't hear anything, I mean, at least you got peace and quiet.
I think her other senses go up too.
Yeah, you're like you're yeah.
God, her taste must have been freaking.
She should have been a superhuman, basically. She's 3 out of 5. She's 2 out of 5 gone.
She was a superhuman. Yeah, you see that she can fly a plane.
Like,
I got a hard time believing it. I do.
She flew
Yeah.
a plane too.
yeah. Well, we can look it up.
Apparently, she had her pilot's license. That's the
Did Helen Keller fly a plane?
I mean, that one here says, "How did she fly the plane?" So.
Okay. How did this admittedly remarkable woman who was deaf and blind pull it off?
She didn't.
Is it possible background like blah 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 blah? Sight and sound BD, and she jumped straight into the right seat of a 4-engine Douglas C-54 Skymaster, an impressive aircraft for anyone to tackle.
Yeah, right, dude.
Yeah, the cameras.
Anybody that allowed that to happen needs fired on sight.
Like,
like
okay.
I did that too. The cameras were off.
Yeah. Just saying,
Cameras were-
nobody's seen me and Batman in the same room together.
See, that just makes me question like how much like of history is just we've been lied to.
Right, like, hey,
Did they land on the moon?
I heard a quote.
No, that's all fake.
That's another good one too. I heard a quote one time that said history is wrote by the ones that have won, right?
Yeah.
The ones that won the wars, they're the ones that wrote the history books. So
Yeah.
probably a lot of stuff that we don't know.
Oh yeah, for sure.
A lot of
Like
stuff that we've been told is not true. But
like a bunch of stuff that I've learned, like me getting closer to God this year, like kind of opened my eyes to what's really going around the world, and especially like it being put in the Bible and literally seeing it front and center. Like I don't know if y'all seen like a river just formed from the Euphrates River,
Really?
like it just popped up out of nowhere.
Like gradually, or just like one day?
No,
it was like
boom,
there?
it was there.
one day it's there, one day it's not. Sorry, one day it wasn't there, one day it was
Yeah,
there.
like
Just wake up and
Yeah.
imagine you're like a poor village, no water. You wake up, boom, water. I'd be like, oh my gosh.
Brings us full circle back to Helen Keller.
Exactly. How did she know? Like, I just don't believe this. Like,
Water Helen? I don't know, man.
So wait, when did Amelia Earhart fly her plane? Was it before? It had to be, because wasn't she the first woman to fly a plane?
when did Amelia fly across the Atlantic? 1932, and became the first female pilot to fly solo and nonstop.
Solo. Okay.
That's pretty cool. No, I think like I don't know. Yeah, what y'all think about the pyramids?
What part?
Like just like how it was built.
God,
I think it's something connected to the aliens.
Now it's like
Extraterrestrial life.
I
don't know if y'all seen. They found another
coordinates. Or
They found another pyramid in Antarctica.
Really?
Yeah, and that pyramid and the Egyptians are like perfectly across from each other, like a line.
They don't let people go to Antarctica sometimes.
You can't.
Yeah, you can't.
It's
do that.
impossible.
Is it all the time, or is it just like certain
No, you have to have like a
certification
certification saying you can go there.
almost? Yeah.
But people, like I've had a conversation with your dad about this. It was like the theory of like the hollow Earth, where there's like what's called like creatures inside the Earth, and that's where another
Yeah.
civilization is. And like another one is like the ice wall. I don't know if y'all have ever heard of that.
Or the ice wall.
But yeah,
Yep.
a bunch of those things. So
Yeah.
I bet.
It's go ahead about it.
No, I mean I just been trying to get into like a bunch of things that like 90% are probably false and like what we've been told,
Yeah.
and just going deeper into that type of stuff.
Yeah, man.
The coordinates of the pyramids, though, how they're like aligned, they like match up with like the speed of light. Or something.
Oh yeah, it's like
Perfectly.
perfect number.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're perfectly symmetrical. And like they've got these, however heavy they are, tons of just like these blocks that they had. Like it just there's
What were they lifting? That
doesn't
way?
make sense. Like we don't have
The technology they had back then was way more advanced than what we
so
have
don't
now.
Have the machinery to do
Like
this.
no, that's
We don't have
because
the machinery to
so
do
what
this
I've
now.
learned is that like aliens aren't actually like aliens or demons and stuff that fall out the earth.
Yeah.
So that's what it says. And then like even in pictures of that, and like with Jesus, you can see aliens in their pods in the corners, like flying.
Yeah.
And so that's what people think. It's like there's a whole bunch of stuff that we can get into like this, but not right now. It's like those people helped them. The people that came down from heaven, they helped those civilizations, and then that's how they came up with the pyramids.
It's a new one.
Like you have to one of our buddies, Cameron, he kind of helped me like learn about this. Like you can ask him. He gave there's like a bunch of history of like I said, those fallen angels. They're called Anunnaki that came down and helped civilizations get technology, and like they would have like bring in exchange for like some other things. So yeah, that's really crazy.
Cam, if you're listening, I need you to come make this make sense to me. 'Cause, this is the new one.
After that, I can explain it to you.
Yeah.
Like
I don't think you guys want to listen to Cameron. I've known Cameron for a very long time.
I want to hear what he's got to say about this.
yeah, but I mean, history like ever since I've living, it's just been getting more discreet and more awkward in history.
It's good that people are asking questions, though. It's
I heard this quote was like, the more knowledge you want, the more pain you will receive.
probably.
Yeah.
Because the more like kind of that's how it was for me going into like this year or going into like my freshman year of college. I kind of was like realizing like this world isn't really what it is, and like going into like seeing these pieces, what's really going on. And I was like, dang.
I don't know if this is a coincidence or not, but this was like right after one of my surgeries. I can't remember which one, but I'm laying in bed. It's to the point after surgery where it doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
But I'm in bed at night. I'm scrolling through TikTok and I'm on a conspiracy like roll. Like I'm getting deep into the rabbit hole, And then like my knee that I had surgery on just starts like hurting really, really bad. It was weird. And I right as soon as I get off of the conspiracy sites, it just like automatically stopped hurting. It was really weird. I don't know why. I don't know if that's just a coincidence.
I saw this one video. It was like, if you want to survive 2024, wear closed-toed shoes and like all this stuff. It basically references like when stuff goes bad, you want to be able to run, and as soon as your feet and legs get hurt, you're screwed. So make sure you're able to wear the right things.
Don't wash your clothes.
Don't wash. Kind of like the way the currency's been going more to online and cash, kind of been worrying me.
Me too. Cash valuable.
You've always been saying that you paid in online currency.
They say once you can't pay with.
Yeah, because like that's when the mark of the beast's supposed to come in. Yeah.
Can't pay with cash anymore.
So
coins, they say in the Bible. But.
Yeah, well, I say once all cash is gone, then we're all screwed.
Yeah.
Seeing something was like, what was it? Well, yeah, I had this conversation with a girl who was like, do you think that, or it was like the root to all evil is money? And she was like, no, I really don't believe that. I think it's more of how people use it. But then in a way, I think it was like, we shouldn't be able to pay just to live.
Yeah. Like
pay to live in a house, pay to get food, pay to get somewhere, pay to do all these things. Yeah. So, all right. Well, that kind of wraps up for today's episode. Thank you again for Tommy Stevens, Ace Stevens coming on for us today. Yeah, of course. Hopefully we can get you on again sometime in the future. Some other of our buddies talking more about that stuff that you wanted to. Yeah, and then this is me and Jackson, the Blitz Podcast, episode 3, and then we'll catch you on the next one.
Later.